Hello everyone, and welcome to tonight's webinar with Boost Your Sustainable Career 2021. We are Impact Jobs Sweden, and I am Kristina Bonat, the CEO of this company. Very welcome, and let's get going with starting a little bit about myself. My name is Kristina and I live in Berlin, but I am Swedish. And I think that my journey started in 2015 when I graduated from my Master in Sustainable Development. And I think I was really looking forward to make an impact in my job, in my career. And I was very flexible and open to where I actually would do that, but I was quite picky on how I would do it, as in where on what company. And as I started looking for jobs, I realized that it was pretty much easier said than done to actually find that job where I knew that it was truly sustainable. And also I started questioning what is actually sustainable, what does that entail, and what does that mean, what does it require, and so on. So after my maternity leave 2019, I stood at a part ways crossing where I should either look for a new job or start my own business. And I had sort of the seed was already there that I wanted to have a platform where you can find truly sustainable jobs in Sweden, because I really struggle to find them. And so I decided to start Impact Jobs. So Impact Jobs is first and foremost a platform with sustainable jobs. There I have, with my coworkers, done sort of the screening of the companies, and we have that. But also, in addition, to help job seekers find a way to make more impact in their work life, we also have inspiration in form of blog, event, and pod, and now these kind of webinars also. So check it out. It's impactjobs.se, where you can find most of these things. So I think that we will dive into the slides, actually. I want to move back. So this webinar I call Boost Your Sustainable Career in 2021, and we will start from the beginning. The first question that I asked myself: what is a sustainable career? And for me, it's where you're in an employment that you like and that you appreciate, at a company that creates impact, whereas sustainable impact, but the company also takes care of you. So these sort of three standpoints that I have. And today's webinar, we're going to focus on 4 areas. We're going to talk a little bit on how to discover your purpose, as in, at least for me, I studied quite a broad master, which means that I came out graduating without any specific title. And I think that I struggled a lot with this, trying to find my way, my role into the corporate landscape. And also how to find that dream job, because I think that when you search quite generic, you will also get a quite generic answer. You can, of course, find jobs at these big job search platforms, but also if you have a niche and you can find a comparable platform, that can, of course, help you to easier help that dream job or find that dream job. And also, once you found this dream job, how do you actually stand out? Because that's another problem you have, that once you found your job that you really, really want, there's probably 200 others that also want that job. And it's quite a daunting thought, but this is exactly why I created Impact Jobs. I want to help you with this. And I promise you, you will get there. Motivations can be low, but you will get there. We need to focus, but we also need patience. And the last focus will be kind of shaping the job that you want. Like how much power do you actually have to influence your job? Because I think that many who might not be used to the job market and the corporate landscape, we are so filled by intimidation and hierarchy that we're sort of a bit blinded of all the opportunities that they're also there. And in the job seeking process, we can also be blinded from our own potential. We always talk about reach your full potential. And as I was in the military service, my lieutenant used to say to us, they're like, your mom thinks that you have about of your 40% of your purpose. You think that you have 60% of that, but we will get out those 85%. And that's how I feel with Impact Jobs also. I feel it's such a waste of potential. All these job seekers, all these that have this higher education, for example. I think I read somewhere a crazy number, but if it was like that 5,000 janitors in the States have a PhD. And I really don't mean anything about for like against janitors, but it's also like they have a PhD. I didn't want to go there. So let's start with discovering your purpose. Because I usually say that the clearer your purpose is, the easier it will be to find your dream job. But where to start also, if you're not really sure, you think that you can do a bit of everything, but nothing really floats your boat and you're not too sure. Then it can be a point in trying to figure out what you don't want to do. Because if you struggle with really finding what you like to do and maybe what you're good at, you can at least start with what you don't want to do. And this can be big or small things. It can be, I don't want to sit outside or sit inside. I don't want to sit in front of a screen all day. I don't want to be micromanaged. I don't want to work in a big team or a small team. But it can be valuable to have that list to figure out sort of where you want to go. And I think I actually had a client in my coaching sessions that I made do this list. And she said it was super helpful when she looked for jobs, because you sort of get more and more desperate as you go along. But this was sort of a list that she could keep, because she knew that she couldn't take that job no matter how desperate she was, because she wouldn't be happy. I also do an exercise called the perfect day, where I help people sort of imagine their favorite day, what it implies and what sort of happens in that perfect day. Like you go to work, definitely, because it's also finding your work, what you want to do professionally. But so if you want to, you can just bring pen and paper, sit down for maybe 10 minutes and try to write down your perfect day. When you go to the office, do you go to the office or don't you? How do you go to your office? What does it look like? Who do you say hello to? How do you work? What does it look like? And sort of trying to get a simulation of what your perfect day would look like. You can also do, this is a classic one, but I have helped some clients in my coaching sessions with this one. And a classical question might be, should I stay or should I go? Should I remain at my job or should I look for something new? And what you can do is both, like, don't underestimate a classical pros and cons list, because it makes it all clearer in the end. But what you also can do is have it in 4 sections. So if you stay, the pros and cons of that, or if you go, the pros and cons for that. So I really want to encourage you, maybe even after this webinar, that you maybe take 10 minutes or 15 minutes and maybe you choose one of these to do and actually spend some time on it, because it's really one of those things that we don't really spend time on. We don't really invest the time in ourselves because life is going on and we can't really sometimes keep up, but it can be a good idea. I'm gonna check if I have, feel free to help me out and comment in the chat. I will save the questions in the end, but also if you agree or if you don't agree, or if you recognize what I've said, or that that you think it's a good idea, or that you don't maybe understand something that you want me to develop more. The last one for your purpose is Ikigai. Have you heard of Ikigai? Feel free to use the chat. But for those who haven't heard about it, it's Japanese and it's sort of hard to translate, but it translates sort of into finding your purpose, as in the reason why you go up at night. Nah, in the morning. Sorry. Yeah, you've heard of Ikigai. Have you done your Ikigai? I want to ask. If I had more time, I would go through with it, and then I would ask you to like go off screen for 10 minutes and just try to find the answers of the questions. But I will let you know what the questions are. So they mean that if you can answer these 4 questions with the red thread in between, you will find your Ikigai. And the questions there are what you're good at, what you love, what the world needs from you, and what you can be paid for. If you can answer all of these 4 questions and find something in common, there is your Ikigai. And what you can do, maybe after this webinar or someday, is that you can start with answering one of the questions and then just do a list with as much as you can come up with, and then you compare them and then see if you can find a sort of a common ground. Yes, exactly. The chat says, I agree that you should take the time to think these things through. And I really think that too, because it's such an important thing to actually keep in mind in your job search. But I get it. I've also been there, being so caught up in the job search that you sort of forget about what really matters. And I will get more to that later on. But so the Ikigai is a good tool to sort of find your purpose. Yep. But for now, we will move on. So once you've sort of realized your purpose, or you have like a clearer mindset on where you want to go career-wise, then it's time to actually find that job. And as I said, for me, it was easier said than done. And I think that the most common job platforms, they just had all the jobs, and it was just me sitting there trying to put in like sustainability or CSR or something, so I could have a bit of a sustainable focus, but it was just so much work. But I mean, job search, it's a full-time job, isn't it? But so over the past year and a half, but connected to your purpose, is definitely a good idea to build your own strong personal brand. I know that people goes on and on about it, and people, it's definitely debatable about your personal brand, because it almost also, it's this big risk that it becomes this facade, and it's actually not you, but it's the best you at all times, and that's not really reality. But your personal brand is what people say about you when you are not in the room. And you kind of ensures that personal brand by storytelling. And that storytelling can help you also to stand out from a crowd. More practical to find your dreams. This is why I started Impact Jobs, because I couldn't find a platform with a niche where they had all sustainable jobs, because I think that many people is stuck in the mindset where they mean, yeah, but I really want to work more sustainable, but I can't really, I only see the option where I have to stop working on Fridays and volunteer at the Red Cross instead. And of course, that's brilliant if you can, but that's not the case. There's plenty of other companies out there that really needs your help. They don't need maybe a sustainability expert, but they need a financial controller. They also need a copywriter or a communicator or a project manager. They need you, I promise. It's a bit tricky sometimes to find them. And that is why I started Impact Jobs, to have these sustainable jobs on the platform. What's the latest now also is the CV database that we have. So you can see if you go to our start landing page, it's in the right upper corner where it says Lämna ditt CV. And you can leave your CV there. The purpose for that is that I hope to soon be able to offer a more of a recruiting service to companies, where I see that they are looking for a position, and I'm like, hey, I have this great database with people. Do you want me to have a look? Sort of. So that's definitely something you can do. It's quite easy, and it's for free. The other platform that has helped me is actually LinkedIn, because what's great on LinkedIn, there you can follow the companies that you really like. And I will come to that later, but that is also one way to stand out in the crowd, that you select sort of 10 or 20 of your favorite companies, and then you follow them, and then you can sort of interact with them on LinkedIn. And maybe then when you send in a resume, your name will pop in their mind, and they will maybe remember you. Therefore, you will have a great advantage in the recruitment process. So don't underestimate LinkedIn, and be interactive. Definitely, but we will come back to that actually in the next slide. For finding your dream job, finding the job ads, there are a lot of great Facebook groups. And as I talk, if you have a favorite Facebook group actually that you use for your job search, please add them in the chat so people can also have a look. My favorite one is Jobb hållbarhetsfrågor. I can write it in the, I'll write it in the chat. And this is a group with, I don't remember now, but I think 10,000 members. Sustainergies is another really good one, exactly. So there are thousands of members and many posts every day, and it's different sorts of sustainable jobs. So this is really a nice one, but you can also do have a look around if you haven't already on Facebook looking for groups. Because I'm thinking also that you have maybe a niche, maybe I know that there's one called Technique. Yeah, cool. Sustainability jobs Nordic. Awesome, exactly. And I know that there's one Technique Kvinnor, like women in tech, for example. And I get there's a lot of like English jobs in Sweden and so on and so on. But the Sustainabilities one is really nice. And I have another which is called Ideella jobb, which is like NGOs in Sweden. That one is really good and it's really active as well. And you know that one is a sustainable one. The hub, I can definitely mention. The hub.io is a Nordic collective with startups that they put up a lot of jobs, and it's financed by Danske Bank. So it's actually for free to put up your job ads, which means that there are a lot of jobs there, which is perfect. They are not focused on sustainability, so make sure that your keyword is maybe sustainability or impact or something like that. But they are just startups, but at the same time they have a lot of different jobs. Like there's a wide range of titles from intern to like CTO or something. So there's definitely something for everyone there. And then a bit similar, because most of them at Norrsken is startups, but they are all with impact. So Norrsken also have a job platform, which is quite in the beta version, but it's with those organizations that are at Norrsken. And Norrsken, for those who don't know, but I assume most of you know, is this huge co-working space in Stockholm that wants to help startups aiming towards more impact. Exactly, and the other one is the local. I mean, if you are English speakers in Sweden, you probably you maybe read the news in the local, and I've seen that from time to time they also have jobs, and they don't have specifically a sustainability area, but at least it's for the English speakers. But most of the Norrsken and on that hub is also in English. Exactly. No, I can't. Yeah. What's this? And the last one is Impact Pool. It's impactpool.org, and they were formerly called UN Jobs. So they are internationally, they have a global focus, but only focus on UN jobs. But it's definitely worth a visit if you are looking into a career path like the UN. And I think that when you look for jobs in Sweden, you might get hit with 3 to 6 different ones or something. So it's not a lot, but still. Exactly. And the last one are actually the hidden jobs. Because as a matter of fact, the numbers say that around 70% of all the jobs people get is through their contacts and through hidden jobs that aren't even out on the market, which can be a bit frustrating for some, but at the same time, if we can get the focus towards that, we can also do something about it. And this is where the standing out comes, because that's how do you get these hidden jobs? You get them through network. You get them through being out there and being available and being meetable, I was going to say, but standing out. And that is how you do that, is through networking. And it's a bit of a struggle right now when we're living in a pandemic and we're not allowed to go outside, more or less. But there is where LinkedIn comes in hand. And I read somewhere that with all the millions of users on LinkedIn, there's actually just 2 to 4% of these that actually are active, which means that if you are active, you have a huge chance into being visible. And we should all take that chance. Exactly. So like I've written, social media, be with your audience, and where the right contacts are. And I think that in a professional way, trying to find your job is definitely at LinkedIn. And speaking of LinkedIn, why don't we add each other? For those who want to, this is totally optional. You can write your LinkedIn profile. So you can go into your LinkedIn, click on your photo, and then in the webbläsare, you have your LinkedIn profile. So if you want to share your profile and get more contacts, you can put it in the chat right now. I will give you a couple of minutes to do this, because this is a perfect opportunity to just expand your network with like-minded people. And I can of course go with my with my name, because I think that you can find me with just putting in my name. It's Kristina Bonat. So feel free to add me also. Perfect. We have one who've shared. Very good. Thank you. More are coming in. Perfect. And I mean, go ahead and add them right now, because there's nothing like the now. I always try in my webinars and programs and with my coaching clients that would do things now, because then they're done. And also in my meetings with my colleagues, I'm like, give me a second and I'll just do it, because otherwise the list goes on. I'm like, oh, I'll do that when I hang up. And then it's like, what was I supposed to do when I hung up? Yes, many profiles are coming in. This is awesome. Thank you, guys. This is brilliant, because this is the thing also, like we're all like-minded people, aren't we? Like we're looking for more sustainability in our career. So it's definitely valuable in following each other, as in you can get probably inspiration and insights on what kind of companies there other people are liking and what's going on at those companies, and webinars, events, awards, news, everything. And it can be a good tick mark or kickstart into your LinkedIn life. Brilliant. And I guess these, for those who are watching live on Facebook, maybe you can't really do that, and I apologize. I have no good alternative for you. Join the LinkedIn group. You can in now I've sent it like Yoda. Impact Jobs also has a group on LinkedIn. We are called Impact Jobs Sverige, and here we also put sustainable jobs when we come across them. Awesome. I will continue slowly when you add all the your new friends on LinkedIn. So this is perfect. And I think a good, yeah, okay. I will write a name that can help you. Hanna Frank Larsson. Hanna Frank Larsson that I put in the chat, she is a great example on how you can interact on LinkedIn. So take her name and follow her, because she is just I want to say an average person. With that, I mean that she's not a sustainability expert. She's not a thought leader. She's not a CEO of a huge enterprise. But she's a good example in finding inspiration on what to actually post, on how to be interactive on LinkedIn. Because what I'm asking you here is like, go on LinkedIn and be active. And I'm sure that you're not alone in wondering like, yeah, that's great, but how? But Hanna Frank Larsson, she can help you there. And it doesn't have to be too complicated, to be honest. Don't overthink it. There's plenty of webinars that can help you being getting higher ranks on LinkedIn and being active on it. But I think that first and foremost, you should just relax. Yeah, sorry, I can't even work my yeah, but it said, from me to all panelists, Hanna Frank Larsson. All attendees, yeah, because you're not panelists. Thank you, Sophia. You said that you didn't get the name, and I apologize. Apparently, I need to work on my tech savvy skills. But now it's there, and it's Hanna Frank with CK _ Larsson. Cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for sharing your LinkedIn profile. Thank you so much. I really think that you will learn a lot from each other. Let's move on. Standing out, one alternative can also, of course, be to have a CV in line with your personal brand. And I think that this is one of my subjects where when I think back at my job search at the most, I think I was too caught up in sending out as many CVs as possible that I didn't even I didn't spend the time that I needed to actually make it standing out, because I also had a thought of, well, it's the content that matters. It's not how it looks, right? But I gather more and more that it is actually, you really should help the HR person out. Help it out even with like letting them read your CV without reading it, as in it should be really easy on the eye. You can also use design tools available, for example, at canva.com. They have like ready resume frames where you can get inspiration. And there's plenty also actually of, you can just Google, of course, standing out with your CV and how it do's and don'ts and everything. And there's webinars also. There's one CV expert that I can also write. That you can follow on LinkedIn, because she gives quite a lot of good tips and advice around the CV making. Her name is Birgitta Möller, that you can follow on LinkedIn with your CV. So there's a lot of things around there. I think my most surprising thing was when I learned was that, or I'd heard it before, that HR people, they read it F reading, as in your resume and CV should be really left heavy. So they read it like from the left and down, and then they read on the top to the right, and then they go down to the middle a little and read a little bit out, sort of. It's called F reading. So make sure that almost the best things are to the left. And also, wherever the HR person puts their eyes on your resume, it should be interesting enough for them to wanting to read more. So I think it was a questioning with this Birgitta Möller, and she got the question, what are the biggest mistakes on writing a CV? And she said, there's too much irrelevant stuff on it. Exactly, and be creative and be bold, because I think that especially now in these days, HR people, not that they're getting bored, like because it's their job to look through resumes, but it can be in the end quite quite simple in the way that they've seen it all over and over again. So always think, how can you stand out for the role, and let the focus always also be, how can you contribute to this role and to this company? The fourth focus area that we're going to spend a little bit time on is shape the job that you want. Imposter syndrome, if you heard about it or not, it's the individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments that has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. And this is quite common when you change your job or want to evolve in a job, or also being a job seeker and being rejected all the time. I usually say that really try to obviously write your CV when you're having a good day, because at least for me, job seeking really took their toll on me. It took a toll on my confidence and my motivation. And I think also I've never felt more alone ever as I did as a job seeker, because I really tended to take my rejections personally, and I found it quite hard not to. But at the same time, I know a friend gave me the advice. They're like, of course you can't take it personally, that will break you. And I was like, I understand that, but how? But maybe also being aware of that there is a thing called imposter syndrome, and reading a bit, becoming aware of what that is, might actually get you more into a tolerance of how you feel. And also, comparing ourselves to others does not get us anywhere. Dealing with positively with our own mistakes does. So that's also, it's my way of saying that you have to put yourself out there, and you're definitely doing that by sending resumes, but also maybe via events that you attend. Use sort of your pitch, try to network with people. The worst that can happen is that that person is not very interested in you, and then you move on. Or actually reach out, ask for help with people if it isn't a recommendation or something that you want to learn more of, or an introduction. The worst that can happen has actually already happened if you haven't done it, as in reaching out for a contact on LinkedIn. If you don't do it, you won't be contacts. And the worst thing that can happen if you do is that they say no, and then you're back to what would have happened if you didn't do it. Am I maybe complicating things? But I hope that you understand what I mean. And I guess also I really felt I had a hard time estimating how I felt about other jobs job seekers when I was a job seeker, because if they're actually like, we're all in the same boat and we can use definitely lift each other up and keep us to a community and help each other out. But the thing is also, if we're too close to each other, then all of a sudden we're competition. But that's also why I really want to call impact jobs as a community, because I really don't believe in fixing everything on your own. People need help, and that's okay. And most people are happy to give that help to other people also. I really don't believe in that every man is an island, or sort of. And I love the anecdote. You've probably seen it on social media as well. It's quite old now, but when a teacher, they've made balloons for all the school children in the corridor, in the hallway, with the kid's name on it. And they put all in the corridor. They let the kids know. And first they say, you need to find your balloon with your name on it. And the kids run around and no one finds it, and it takes all over because it's like a bath of balloons. But then the teacher says, now I want you to pick up the balloon that's closest to you, read the name, and give it to the person who the balloon belongs to. And then all of a sudden, every child has their own balloon within minutes. And that's sort of how I feel with impact jobs also. The impact jobs groups are divided into regions. So it's Stockholm, Gothenburg, Skåne, and then the rest of Sweden. Sorry for rest of Sweden being so generalized. But my idea with those groups was also that if you find a job that you're not interested in, maybe of course, you're more than welcome to post it for other people to find. And then how to shape your job also is like, prepare intensively for the interviews. Looking back at my job seeking process was also that it's hard. It's really hard to prepare, but I think I could have done a little bit better job at voicing my demands, which it says here, be ready to voice your demands. And I think I can share with you a small story of quite early in my job seeking process. I got called to Transparency International, which is really big here in Berlin, and I was over the moon. I was really excited about it. And I think that we had quite a okay interview. Although it started a bit shakingly. They were like, hi, we just want to start with congratulating you being one of two being interviewed in among like 150 people. And it was like, thank you, no pressure. But maybe they just wanted to take my temperature or something. But then when we came into the end, they were like, do you have any questions for me? And I thought silently to myself, being like, yes, sure I have, but it doesn't matter what your answers are to those questions. I want the job no matter what. Because then it was, I don't care who my boss will be, or how a day looks like, or how my team looks like, or what contract I will get, and so on. So I just answered no. And I think, like, now looking back, I'm quite embarrassed, because obviously I think it was just interpreted as, okay, so she doesn't care at all. She's not that interested in this. She doesn't want to know more. And that's what I mean, be prepared for the interviews. And the more of a dialogue it is, the better. It actually should be a time for questions and dialogue for you to see if you fit in there as well, not just the other way around. But sometimes easier said than done, definitely. And my last point here in shaping the job that you want is to find that work-life balance. And it sort of connects to what I said in the beginning also. what is a sustainable career. For me, a sustainable career is not actually just finding that job that leads to impact, but the employer themselves needs to take care of their employees. And how can you make that work? I mean, you can start to voice demands on flexible work or other deals that you can have. I think what's important is to have a dialogue with your boss, with your employer, in how you are, how it's going, sort of. I have a story about my friend who thought that she was sure that she wanted to leave her job, and she spent so much time looking for other jobs. But then in the end, actually, after a bit of coaching, asking her these questions, they're like, but what don't you like with your job? And she was like, no, but it's too comfortable. And the coach said, what's so wrong with being comfortable? And she was like, no, but you have to be on your toes. You always have to be out there striving towards more and stuff. But in the end, she actually realized that it wasn't actually the job per se. Like, she liked the company, she loved her colleagues. It was actually like the work, the more to the some assignments that she really didn't like. And she went to her boss and said this, and her boss was just really grateful for her raising these issues, and they sort of changed her job a bit. And now, so then she stayed and she's happy. So she's happy, the boss is happy, everyone's happy. So I think it also, what I mentioned with the purpose is like, your work-life balance should really take more part in what you reflect upon during the week. As in, we all talk about the life puzzle, for example, trying to puzzle everything around, but is it manageable, or is it something that you can do about it? Exactly. So being ready to boost your impact. This was sort of just a fraction I had and of the intel that I have gathered during my years as CEO of Impact Jobs. Our latest thing is that we have developed an online program that takes you through these 4 focus areas. We sort of like scratched the surface on these ones, and here we dive deeper into it. And you will be learning from me and also from peers. The program is interactive, and we will have also exercises during the sessions and homework to accelerate your career, that you sort of makes you get stuff done, to actually reflect on your purpose, to actually answer the questions on Ikigai, to practice your pitch, as an example, to go and enter an event on LinkedIn and use your pitch, and also to clarify your vision statement. In order to, the clearer the purpose, the easier it is to find your job. It will be 4 sessions, 1 hour every week. And if you who are watching it now live, not with the recording, unfortunately, if you use the code webinar, you can get a 40% discount for the February batch that will start in the first Tuesday on February and be for 4 Tuesdays in February. What I also do, this sort of comes from my coaching niche that I have. And I also do peer-to-peer coaching. If you're more interested in that, you can just email me. And what I do is like that, I support and encourage you in your process of change. We find out what you want to change and I help you to do that. We will define clear targets and approaches and grippable approaches that are custom made for you. So we don't talk about a goal that will be next year, but we actually talk about what can you do this month? What do you want to accomplish? And of course, in these times, I'm flexible with online meetings whenever it suits you. And I promise to have a meeting joyful and strengthening with commitment and devotion. I always offer 30 minutes free intro sessions. So if this is something you're interested in, email me. The email will come shortly, but it's Christina with K at impactjobs.se. And what it really does, what many of my clients say is that the coaching enables you to get stuff done. That these are for people who's been sitting for quite a long while, reflecting and thinking of, oh, I really should do this and I really want to change this, but you're not quite sure on how, you don't find the time, and you always have excuses on, yeah, but this is not the time or whatever. But this is actually the time if you want to do it with me, because then I can help you finding your goal and reaching your goal. Thank you so much. Please, if you like this webinar or what Impacts does, our vision, our purpose, please share, spread, and like. And your feedback means the world. So if you have anything to say, just email me. And the last thing for today also is that already tomorrow, we will have a community meetup. You can find the event. Yeah, but I even have it as a, no, I don't. The link will come in the chat. It's a community meeting tomorrow at 7:30. We will meet on Zoom with video and audio, and the purpose is just to meet and greet each other and talk about our challenges as job seeker, and maybe then sharing some advice, sharing some tips and inspiration for us to move forward with our job seeking. Thank you so much. I will take questions now, but for those who need to go, I will say thank you so much for listening and take care and good luck.